Hi, Shannon Bryant here, and this video is all about the writing strategy for math. It's most applicable for secondary math that's called 3-pie writing. So I'm going to take this is one of my favorite writing strategies for math, and I have to give a shout out to the great, the marvelous Anthony Ritz from Avid that came up with this. I think it is just delightful. So on the right, you can see an example of what it might look like. So you can use any prompt that you want. And then the first step is to read the prompt. The second step is trying to figure out what it is that the question is asking. And then what are you trying to prove? So really the answer goes here. So sometimes students skip this step and come back to it later. Or you could have them only fill this prompt out after they have actually done the math. It's up to you. What I like about it is the next one is applying their notes. So let's say they have to skip the point to prove and go look in their notes to find the information that proves that. They could record that information. Then applying the proof is applying the concepts from their notes to this new problem. And then they might go back in and say what point it is that they're trying to prove. And lastly, they're explaining that connection. Okay, so we're going to take that and look at the Nearpod that I created with an example, so you could do this digitally. I am going to save and go to Nearpod so that we can look at both the teacher side and the student side together. So this is the new tool. If you have just a regular slide, you haven't entered any tools in it, whatever you have on that is projected for your kiddos, and that's not really new. But you having the ability to mark on that slide using text where you could type or a pen where you could write is what's new. So I might want to have kids look at this first before they begin and me to explain how to use the tools that they're going to see. The text box is easier, of course, than the pen. I only have them use the pen when they absolutely have to. Text box is just easier with their dexterity. And then they would put in the things that they know and need to know. So once they understand the directions, that's really all this slide is for. I'd advance them to the other slide where they are going to put in what do they know to be able to do this problem and what do they need to know. And you can see the tools they have here. I'll be able to see that in real time on this slide. Hey, the other new feature that they have is you can open this whiteboard anywhere, and it gives you the same abilities that I did on the previous slide, but it's just white, blank. Okay, so now kids are going to go through and OMG, this is the one where I'm demoing. So again, I've given them some different prompts. I did the know and the need to know thing just to get them thinking about the problem, so it's not so much. This looks like a lot of information. So if you wanted to have fewer pieces on each slide and then a final slide with all pieces of the chart together, you can. I like to have all the pieces together because it helps with the final piece, which will be writing. So let's go over this acronym. 3 pies, P-I, P-I, P-I. Okay, that's pretty easy. But the first one is the best. They just read the prompt again. So you can count the reading strategy that they did with the knows and the needs to know. You could even say, come back in and I want you to highlight what you find important, or write a really good high-level question to get them actively reading in a way that you can kind of check up on. Then the inquiry, they were supposed to state what it is they need to find in their own words. I like this strategy. It's kind of like the GIST strategy that we have in Avid. I need to find, and then how many blanks, because they have to look at that question and think about what goes in the blanks. They ultimately are going to be putting it in their own words, but sometimes they struggle with that instruction to put it in their own words. Then the next one is, what is the answer? Basically your point to prove. Because in some cases, you could give them this writing strategy after they answered it. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm repeating myself now. Okay, but it bears repeating. So they might have to come back. That's why I put the little asterisk there. Then the introduction. What did you find in your notes about this topic? So they would put that information there. And then if blank, then blank. Now here's what I love about that. On the proof side, they're taking the evidence that they found in the above, and they're proving the evidence above that. So basically what you end up putting in here is if this in their own words, then this in their own words. And the interpretation is therefore, this is why that's the right answer. You can see where this is great for writing, but it's also great for problem solving and really making sure kids understand what they gave you. Now, I wouldn't just hop out there the first time you do this strategy with all of these pieces. I would probably give kids a few of these blanks to fill in and a few of these already filled in by you. So if you wanted to do that, you could use the fill in the blank tool that Nearpod has as well. So on the students board, that's where they're going to be doing all that work. We might have had a discussion about it on the earlier slide that was the teacher slide, but I did want to show you this cool thing. So at the very top, I was able to link the problem because they're probably going to need to go back to that while they're writing. So they can open up that problem and look at it great big and then mark their answers down here. Now, if I was doing this in class, the other thing that I would do is kind of scaffold out their time on each part. Since I didn't put just a couple of these rows on each slide, like breaking my table up, maybe PI on one slide, PI again on the other slide, and the last one with PI, I'm going to control that with my timing. So I would let kids start and let them know while they're working that they need to at least get that first line filled in, the first I. And then we're going to talk about what they put down as answers. If they get that first row filled in, they need to go on and keep trying to fill in other rows. Then once I see every student having at least that first row filled in, I would select a board that I really liked, and I would share that. Or I might select a board that I didn't like so much, hide the names beforehand, and just discuss how could this be better? This is a good start. This is a great beginning, but how can we help this person? What is wrong? What can we do to make it better? And then I would continue that way, kind of scaffolding that time until we got through this. Then you could give this assignment once they understand the strategy without having to take that time. Don't forget that you have the Immersive Reader that can help with reading. So if you have students that speak another language, you'll have that tool available on everywhere there are written words on your slide or throughout your Nearpod. I hope this has been helpful for you, and if it has, like it and subscribe.